It's okay. This is your moment. This is an incredible atmosphere, one that you generate everywhere you go now, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Picture this. Fans walk up to the box office ready to buy tickets for a tennis match, and they're turned away. Nothing left. So they wander the grounds, hunting for another window that might still have seats. Others pull out their phones, praying the website glitched. It hadn't. The stadium was sold out, and over on the resale market, some seats were reportedly climbing toward $1,000. Here's the twist: the player behind all of it wasn't the world number one. She wasn't the reigning US Open champion. She hadn't won a single Grand Slam. Her name is Alex Eala, a 20-year-old from the Philippines who, at the time, wasn't even ranked inside the top 10. So how does someone like that become the hottest ticket in women's tennis? To answer that, we have to go back to Washington, D.C. The Mubadala City DC Open has never been a marquee stop on the WTA calendar. The William H.G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center seats roughly 7,500 people cozy by tour standards. A weekday session there rarely makes headlines. This time was different. Fans showed up early only to hit the same wall. Tickets were gone. Lines stretched outside the gates. And when people turned to resale sites hoping for a lucky break, prices shot up to numbers you'd expect at a Grand Slam final, not a midweek match in DC. But the wild part wasn't just that the place was packed, it was why. Tournament chairman Mark Eala later admitted what his own ticket office had been telling him all week. Somewhere around 80%, maybe more, of every ticket inquiry boiled down to one question. When does Alex Eala play? Stop and sit with that for a second. Not Naomi Osaka. Not Venus Williams. Not Frances Tiafoe or Ben Shelton. One player, ranked outside the top 10, was driving almost the entire conversation. And here's where it gets even stranger. At that exact moment, a few hundred miles north, Aryna Sabalenka, the actual world number one, was already deep into her run at the Canadian Open in Toronto. So the top-ranked player in the sport was competing in one city, while the hottest ticket in tennis belonged to someone else entirely, in another. For decades, tennis has run on one core belief: climb the rankings, and the crowd follows. Reach number one, and the audience comes with you. Washington quietly blew a hole in that theory. The rankings still had Sabalenka on top, but demand had already moved somewhere else. This wasn't hype from one loud fan section. It wasn't a social media fluke. It came straight from the people selling the tickets. It showed up in the numbers. It showed up in the lines snaking around the building. And that's exactly why this story reaches far beyond one tournament in DC. It's about women's tennis stumbling onto a completely different kind of star, one whose pull can't be summed up by a ranking number. Alex Eala wasn't just winning matches anymore. She was reshaping what people were willing to pay just to watch her play. None of this happened out of nowhere. Long before fans were lined up outside or refreshing resale apps, tournament staff had already clocked it. Chairman Mark Eala later explained that bringing Alex into the draw wasn't just another line item on the entry list. His team had been tracking her all season. They'd watched the crowd swell in Melbourne. They'd seen it happen again in Miami. Everywhere Alex went, a new kind of audience seemed to follow her in. Washington was simply the first place where that audience outran the tournament's own projections. Then came the number that stopped the tennis world in its tracks. Eala said at least 80% of ticket requests, and possibly nearly all of them, were centered on one player. He didn't hedge, either. He suggested the true figure was likely even higher. And these weren't guesses pulled from Twitter threads. They came from the tournament's own owner. That distinction matters, because organizers don't gauge stardom by follower counts or viral clips, they gauge it in ticket sales. And Washington's box office was sending an unmistakable signal. People weren't buying seats for the DC Open in general. They were buying seats specifically to watch Alex Eala. The resale market told the same story from a different angle. Local chatter across DC documented just how hard tickets were to track down. Fans described scouring every resale platform they could find, watching prices creep toward four figures, and this was before Alex had even reached the final. That kind of pricing usually belongs to a Grand Slam championship match, not a WTA 500 event. It's rare, genuinely rare. Even former pros took notice. On the Nothing Major podcast, Sam Querrey floated a question that would have sounded absurd months earlier. Is Alex Eala the biggest draw in women's tennis right now? Steve Johnson didn't hesitate. Yes. Querrey pushed harder, bigger than Sabalenka? Yes. Bigger than Coco Gauff? Yes. Two former top-level pros weren't debating forehands or serve speed here. They were talking about who people were actually showing up to see. And that's a completely different conversation than the one tennis is used to having. For years, the sport has followed one formula: rankings first, audience second. Win your way to number one, and the crowds naturally arrive. Alex Eala seems to be running that formula backwards. The crowds got there first. The demand exploded before the ranking caught up. That's what makes this whole thing so unusual. Tournament directors noticed it, former players noticed it, resale markets noticed it, and reportedly even other players in the locker room have started noticing that the entire atmosphere shifts the moment Alex steps on court. And there's a real reason her crowds keep following her from city to city. It's bigger than a hot streak, bigger than any single event. Every stop on tour brings out a Filipino community that rarely gets the chance to cheer for someone competing at the very top of the sport. Melbourne, Dubai, Washington, now Toronto. Different cities, same flags, same question echoing at every box office. When does Alex Eala play? That support isn't stealing attention from tennis, it's growing tennis. Tournaments aren't just seeing bigger crowds. They're seeing entirely new ones, people who might never have walked through the gates of a WTA event otherwise, showing up because her name is on the draw sheet. That's the real significance of Washington. Not that one stadium filled up, but that it exposed something the business side of tennis may have been slow to notice. For years, tournaments decided who got the big courts. Now, increasingly, the crowds are making that call themselves. Washington might be the moment the numbers became too loud to ignore, but the real test is still ahead. One sellout can be written off as a great week. Two starts to look like momentum. Three is a pattern, which is why the next month could be one of the most defining stretches of Alex Eala's career, not just as a competitor, but as a box office force. From here, the tour heads to Toronto, then Cincinnati, then finally New York, and the biggest stage in the sport, Arthur Ashe Stadium at the US Open. Each stop asks the same question: was Washington a one-off? Or has women's tennis found its next big attraction? And the answer won't come from wins and losses alone. It'll come from something tournaments track obsessively, every single day: ticket demand. Every event is built around the same goals: fill the biggest stadium, maximize the TV audience, land the sponsors that want their name next to the marquee matches. For years, rankings made those calls easy. The top-ranked players got the biggest courts, the primetime slots, the headline broadcasts, the big marketing pushes. That formula worked until now. Because if Alex keeps selling out venues wherever she lands, how long before tournaments start building their schedules around demand instead of ranking? Picture the dilemma facing tournament directors in the coming weeks. Do you slot players by world ranking, or by who thousands of fans are specifically begging to see? That question gets a lot bigger once you factor in Arthur Ashe Stadium, over 23,000 seats, more than triple the size of Washington's main court, and built for the sport's biggest draws. If Alex keeps generating the kind of frenzy Washington saw, conversations about court assignments, primetime slots, broadcast priorities, and sponsor activations could start sounding very different. Those decisions have always followed star power, and now Alex Eala is handing tournaments a new way to measure exactly what that means. But there's a flip side to all of this: pressure. Selling out a stadium creates a different kind of expectation than a ranking ever could. Fans don't show up hoping to discover a rising talent anymore. They show up expecting a moment. Every tournament wants another headline. Every arena wants another electric night. Every opponent she faces now knows there's a packed house rooting for one outcome before the first serve even lands. That changes the psychology of the match. It changes the air in the building. And it raises the bar Alex will be measured against from here on out. Which brings us back to where we started: the sold-out signs, the inflated resale prices, the lines wrapped around the block. Those headlines weren't the real story. They were the evidence. Evidence that something bigger might be shifting underneath the surface of women's tennis. For decades, rankings alone decided who the sport's biggest stars were. Alex Eala isn't rewriting that through interviews or a slick publicity campaign. She's rewriting it every single time another tournament realizes there aren't enough seats to go around. So was Washington the start of a real shift, or just a one-week spike? Drop your take in the comments. And if this kind of deep dive coverage is your thing, subscribe, Because Alex Eala's story is only just getting started. Toronto, Cincinnati, and the US Open are still to come.